I'm tired and sick of war. Its glory is all moonshine. It is only those who have neither fired a shot nor heard the shrieks and groans of the wounded who cry aloud for blood, for vengeance, for desolation. War is hell. I hate war as only a soldier who has lived it can, only as one who has seen its brutality, its futility, its stupidity. These were words spoken by wise men and warrior poets of the Second World War. These are words whose meaning have been largely forgotten, to our peril. Gaming hasn't done us any favors here. When a game's topic is war, you can usually rest assured that it will have more than its fair share of chest-thumping, turret sequences, and heroic moments. And this war of mine has none of those things. It doesn't have tight gunplay, battle packs, respawn mechanics. What it does have, though, makes it stand apart in a sea of games that glorify war and chaos. This game takes an unlikely perspective, one that has been largely swept aside in favor of action-packed AAA war games, the perspective of non-combatants in a war-torn land. Under the oppressive watch of daylight snipers, the witching hour presents a brief window of safety to scavenge and trade with other groups of survivors. But that safety is an illusion, as the other survivors will present the deadliest threat. They will lie, cheat, steal, and kill to survive. Sometimes diplomacy and brains can win them over, but sometimes they've made their choice. The game itself looks great, with a minimalist UI and great art design that heightens the ambiance and suspense. It's primarily a game about scavenging, resource management, and trading. But within this quaint little package is a game with the well-crafted and well-delivered message. War is hell. You begin the first day in a large townhouse which you haven't yet fully searched. After spending the first day ransacking your new abode for supplies, you'll pick one of your 3 starting characters and take him to one of several randomly generated areas. Here you'll be hoping to find untouched reserves of food, various other supplies, and hopefully weapons with which to defend yourself. What you'll generally find, though, is more complicated. Sometimes you'll find other scavengers. If you're lucky, you'll find a safe zone with friendly survivors and medical staff that can fix you up. If you're not, you'll find armed thugs, human traffickers, and other unfriendly locals. You'll often run into people that need your help, whether they need medicine, tools, or for you to distract a sniper while they get to cover. Food is always scarce, and as such you're always on the hunt for meat, veggies, and the rare canned food, which you'll find yourself hoarding like a good doomsday prepper before long. When exploring a house, you only have limited space, and you can only make one run per night. Will you fill your pack with wood and materials for building your own tools of survival? Will you take that broken shotgun hoping to repair it one day, when what you really need now is food? Or do you need those meds and bandages to make sure your wounds after the last scuffle don't get even worse? There are a lot of hard choices in this game, and the hardest choices involve the other survivors. I was low on food, down to my last can of chow when the fridge was empty. I needed to find something on this run, or we were going to starve. I had gotten lucky the first few runs, and found abandoned places with tons of supplies, but not much in the way of food. As I was looking over the potential scavenging site intel, I saw one that was home to an old couple before the war. No one knew if they were still around. I intended to find out. I went there and let myself in, only to find the old couple sitting in front of the fireplace together. The old man was resigned. He said they had nothing left. I got angry. That can't be, I thought. At least trade me something. I need food, man. He said they already got looted. Oh yeah, then why do you have so much stuff? Hey, he said, what are you doing? Where's the food, man? I wondered. Honey, go hide, he called out to his wife, and that pushed me over the edge. That does it. I know you've got some food somewhere in here. And sure enough, there was food in the fridge. I proceeded to loot most of his house and leave. As I left, he told me I had doomed them. I got back, and we all filled our stomachs with blood and canned pork together, in silence. Then I went to sleep. I switched over to another character whose updated bio informed me that he didn't care where I had gotten the food, he was just happy I didn't come back empty-handed. My third character, however, couldn't believe I had robbed an old couple. He didn't want to steal from them again. The next night, I took that character back to the couple's house, and they were gone. The house had been looted further. There wasn't much left. The only thing I found was a broken pistol in the rubble in front of their house. I returned home mostly empty-handed, but I did manage to pick through the last of their belongings. As I did so, I pondered my situation. I had indeed doomed them. Now they were gone, and I picked through the scraps that they left behind. I determined that night to find a way to make amends. The very next night, I found a man pinned down by a sniper. He was bleeding and immobilized behind a bit of hard cover. Every few seconds, a shot would ring out, cracking off the concrete, inching closer to him. He saw me. "Help me, please," he cried. I inched closer to the corner, and another shot rang out, spraying with dust and concrete. "The sniper," he yelled. "He's covering the whole street." Sure enough, the next shot impacted just above me, and I ducked back behind the corner. There was a car between me and him, one bit of cover I could use to get to him. The sniper would have to miss twice, or maybe I could time the shots. I poked around the corner again, another shot came in, just missing me, and I sprinted toward the car. Tossing myself under it, another shot rang out. It tore through the car door, missing me by inches. I picked myself up and hurtled forward, diving under the concrete pillars shielding us from the sniper's sight. "Oh, thank you," he said. "Please, you have to help me. I have an infant son in my place nearby. I was out getting medicine for him. I was on my way back when I got hit. Please, you have to help me. Help my son." Another shot rang out. Infant son, medicine, place nearby. He has food. Another shot. "Please, help me. There's a manhole right there, but it's sealed up from underneath. You have to get into the sewers and let me down there. I can make it back to my flat underneath the city from there, but I can't outrun the sniper on my hands and knees. Please," he begged. "Okay," I told him. "I'll see what I can do." I drew the sniper out again, barely making it across to the other side of the street. He may have had a sniper's rifle, but he sure was no sniper. I found a series of flats just down the road, but no sewer entrance. It was getting late. In just a couple more hours, the daylight would break and I'd be a sitting duck. Inside, I found 3 fridges full of food and a couple cupboards with canned goods. I excitedly loaded them all up, having bought myself and my friends a few more days of survival, when I heard something in the next room. A baby crying. I looked down into my bag, full of food, and back up to the empty cupboard. I could still hear the sniper firing outside, his rifle piercing the silence every few seconds. I had an hour of daylight left. There was no way I would make it home unless I left now. The sniper fired again. No. I dumped half my canned food out onto the table and sprinted toward the door. I wouldn't sacrifice another family for a few days of life. I had to find the sewer entrance. It was there, hidden in plain sight, but there were mounds of rubble underneath. I pulled out my shovel and began to dig furiously as the minutes ticked down until the first patrols began. It was nearly 6 a.m. when I arrived at the first manhole cupboard, boarded shut with a simple 2x4. My crowbar made short work of the barricade, and I slid open the manhole. The man had heard me prying away from underneath and had begun to inch toward his escape. One final rifle shot rang out, impacting the concrete just behind us, and we slid down into the sewer together. He thanked me, said he had supplies back at his flat for me, but there was no time. I was already pushing my luck. We parted ways, and I headed for home, hoping that he found the canned goods that I left for him. The sniper still stood in the way, and as light crested in, I lost the only advantage I had. He would take a final 2 shots at me before I made it to safety. The first one missed. The second one didn't. Pavel made it home with a few supplies and a bullet wound that he would never recover from. But he died with a smile on his face, content in the knowledge that he had died for a purpose. It's been a long time since I've played a game that impacted me so profoundly. The only game that's really made a solid stab at these type of complex moral quandaries to the point that they impact gameplay is maybe Papers, Please, and this War of Mine does it better. The scavenging sites are randomly generated from a large pool, and each of them have a wide variety of potential inhabitants. In 5 playthroughs, I've only run into a couple identical scenarios, and these were the Day 1 missions, which it seems are drawn from a smaller, easier pool. It is a roguelike, so when your characters die, that's it. You can have new survivors offer to join you as time goes on, as well as craft a pretty good variety of fixtures to help you weather the storm. I've only seen the first couple crafting tiers, and already there's more to build than I can afford to a couple weeks in, and still more tiers of crafting on top of what I've already unlocked. While I wish there was a bit more customization in terms of the base building and a button to speed up time without skipping to the end of the day, in the end, this War of Mine presents a slick, undeniably gritty package with great visual and sound design. It's deep, engrossing, immersive, and potent in terms of its delivery. While I've only told a couple of stories in this review, this game has literally hundreds if not thousands of stories to tell, scattered across your repeated playthroughs. And all those stories ultimately tell the same tale of the hell that is war. As simple as the game is at its core, there is a lot going on here. Folks who like survival games will definitely find a new favorite here. Fans of The Walking Dead game series will find a lot to like. There is something here for folks who like building, crafting, and trading, as those are all primary elements. But there is something truly special, I think, here, for those who are tired of the Doritos and Mountain Dew approach to games about war. For those seeking a more accurate depiction of war and all that comes with it, there is a gem to be found in this War of Mine. The developers here deserve commendation, not only for creating a compelling game, but for reminding us that games can do much more than simply entertain. They can remind us of truths which we would prefer to forget. This game was developed by 11-Bit Studios, who has put out next-gen console titles like Anomaly 2, but it was also developed under partnership with Warchild, which is an international charity that works in war-torn areas like Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, the Baltics, Africa, and South America. Their aim is to help civilian victims of war, specifically children, by filling the void between developmental and security assistance. In short, they go where other NGOs do not, into areas still under conflict to provide aid and assistance where it's needed most. They are incredibly legit, and I have a great deal of respect for these folks and the work they do, which places their people at enormous risk to carry out their mission. I've put a few links to their site below, and I'd strongly encourage you to check them out if you're curious or looking for a great international charity. It would seem that their mission here was to develop a game that makes us ask a lot of hard questions along the way, and in that, they've been extremely successful. There are many games on the market that every PC gamer should play. Then there are games that are so profound, important, and soul-turning that every PC gamer must own. This War of Mine is in the latter category. This War of Mine is a game with an impact every bit as powerful as The Last of Us, with a much more biting sense of urgency behind it, both in the game and in the real world. My complaints, while few, pale in comparison to what this game has to offer. And for each of its few hiccups, it boasts 100 unique, dynamic stories that will test your moral compass and reveal just how far you're willing to go down that road to survive in this war. While it's not Skyrim graphically, don't let its rusty veneer fool you. There's a gleam under that sepia coat, and its veneer hides a gem of epic proportion. This War of Mine is an absolute masterpiece, and it ranks for me as one of the best and most unique games in the last couple years. It's definitely not to be missed.